The thing with Karate Kid is that people have to understand the original Karate Kid from 1984.
Yes.
That was directed by the guy who did Rocky.
Who won an Oscar for Rocky.
Yeah,
basically doing the same movie all over again.
That was an Oscar-nominated film.
And The Karate Kid was an Oscar-nominated film.
Yeah, the original. Yeah,
yes,
Pat Morita
with Pat Morita nominated for Best Supporting Actor. This is a remake of that film, but it's an interesting remake because it transposes everything. It almost is a remake in some ways of Karate Kid 2 as much as it is Karate Kid 1, because Karate Kid 2, they went to Japan. Here, they're going to China. There's an interracial romance. But what they've done here is they've switched everything around, because it's not really the Karate Kid. It's the Kung Fu Kid, which was the original title of this, you know. It was originally going to be called the Kung Fu Kid. But because they thought people wouldn't make the association, they changed it back to the Karate Kid. But in point of fact, it's in China, and the martial art in question is Kung Fu. So we should see a clip. Jaden Smith, of course, son of Will Smith and Jada Pinkett Smith. And it's Will Smith's company that basically made this movie. So Will Smith's company made the movie as a vehicle for his kid. Don't have a problem with that. Jaden Smith is very, very talented. Jackie Chan playing the part originally played by Pat Morita, originally Japanese, now Chinese. The difference here is, as you can see from the clip, there are real martial arts in this movie. Pat Morita, not a real martial artist. Ralph Macchio, not very athletic. Jaden Smith, very athletic, learns everything that's been thrown at him. Jackie Chan, legendary film martial artist. So the martial arts feel more real in the film. The staging is more effective. There's a little bit more urgency to the way that everything is choreographed. The problem with the film is the writing. The original film was 124 minutes long. It was written by Robert Mark Kamen, who's since gone on to become the colleague of Luc Besson, co-writes a lot of those French-based action things like The Transporter. And even though it was 124 minutes, it was a tight 124 minutes. This film is 2 hours and 20 minutes, a good 15 minutes longer. And the first hour is filled with flab and bad dialogue and awkward acting, and it never really gets going until Jackie Chan gets going, which is about an hour into the movie, which is way too long. The film finally kind of corrects itself, but it still doesn't have quite the heart that the original had. So that being said, it kind of got back on track for me by the end, but boy, it was a long way to dig itself out of that hole.
No, I agree. In fact, about halfway through the film, I never do this when I see movies. I actually texted. Here's what I did.
You did?
Here's what I did.
Yeah, he did text, and we actually had it.
Here's my phone. This is my phone. Hang on, it's time for show and tell.
Okay, but we had you don't know we had a contest on Twitter to say, and I said, what do you think Mark texted me during the Karate Kid?
Okay.
And we had some guesses. I'll look those up while you talk about your thing.
So, okay, it is disrespectful for a learned member of the LA Film Critics Association to text during a movie. Yet, in Karate Kid,
we were in the back row.
We were in the back row. So I don't want to bother people because it bothers the hell out of me when other people check their cell phones, which Wade does sometimes. Wade Major Iota.
But it's always in the back row. So you know what annoys me is when people actually kind of have, relations during the movie. That's a real disruption.
You're just jealous. Okay, so
this is what
I do. This is what I do. We take the cell phone. Let's go to camera 2. I'm going to call camera 2.
But you shouldn't say
We're going to do this. We're going to put the cell phone under here.
Wow.
And then put the face.
Was that what you were doing?
So that way I can text without people seeing me.
Okay,
I swear to God, that's what I do.
Before you say what you texted.
Oh, we have to look up the text now. Okay.
Okay, but let's. I'm going to go to the contest that I asked people on Twitter, which yes, I did give away that Mark Kaiser, who's now on Twitter by the way, @MarkKaiser.
Welcome to the 90s.
So now I asked people, what do you think Mark texted? Sean Thing said, Jackie Chan and Jaden Smith are a force to be reckoned with, comedy gold. Was that it? Was that what you? That's not it.
No, not it.
Elaine Ewing, my guess is he's tipping you off to have Corey prepare new graphics. Corey, was that? No, I didn't get that text. No. And then Martha, was it about nepotism or Pat Morita rolling over in his grave or the movie being shit? Any of these would please me. P.S. Also texting while screening. I can't believe the film didn't spellbindingly hold Mark's attention. Sarcasm. It was 2 tweets. That was 2 tweets. What was the closest to the actual tweet that you sent me in the middle of the movie?
They all sort of circle the runway, but don't really come in for a landing. And the thing is that these phony texts are much funnier than the actual.
And you can hold it up to. Why don't you hold it up to Wade's camera? I bet you if you hold it up to Wade's camera, we can see
Let's
it.
see. We could be down for an hour.
Wow.
Nah, it's not going to work.
Yeah, it's not lit. Well, go ahead, read it.
Okay. It says, I'm texting you from the Karate Kid. This is so bad, but Wade won't let me leave. I actually asked Wade if I could leave But here's the thing: is that
That was, you know, I didn't realize you were texting. I thought you were admiring yourself in some very strange way.
Exactly.
Okay.
Would you like to see the demonstration again of how I text?
It was
the movie?
honestly,
see,
it
what
was
you do
very
is
strange.
You do this, and then you take the shirt. And you do that.
Imagine you're watching a movie and you look over and.
And then what's funny is that because it's so dark in the theater, when the phone turns on and it lights up, I look like E.T.
Or Iron Man.
Or Iron Man, because this light comes out. But here's the situation. The situation is that I sent that text during the first hour.
Yes.
And the first hour is pretty bad. The thing is that there's a lot of characters you got to set up. You got to set up why they're there. You got to set up that the kid isn't happy. You got to set up why this family from Detroit.
But that's not even the problem, because in the original film, it's the same problem. You got to set up she's a single mom, and they're not going to China. They're going to the San Fernando Valley, which, considering how long it takes me to get here, it might as well be China. I got to say. But
give it up for Wade for going through traffic.
Yeah, but it's you know, all of those same things have to be set up. The problem is that they're intent on trying to saturate you in all of this stuff to a degree that you don't need to be saturated. They really want to drown you in China. They want to drown you in the water doesn't work, and Jackie Chan is you save the earth, use the switch on the water. None of that is important. All of these little details don't necessarily establish China for you. And they could have done it very effectively in 10, 15 minutes less time.
The only thing that's important is character, and that's it.
That's
and so
it.
when the movie gets going is when Jackie shows up, and you get to learn about Jackie. He's got a backstory that becomes interesting, that pays off. By the way, his backstory pays off in a very sly homage to the wax on, wax off.
It does, and I have to say, even though I have real reservations about the film, Jackie's performance is great, and a lot of people don't realize what a really good actor he can be unless you've seen a lot of his early stuff. I mean, a number of films that he did, you know, in the early '80s, mid '80s. He's a really, really good actor, and there's one film in particular where he and Sammo Hung play, you know, brothers, and Sammo's retarded, and Jackie has to, you know, care for him, and it's a really, really moving film. And Jackie doesn't get to flex those muscles much in American films, so it's nice to see him be able to show that he can be a real actor. That said, it's still not as good as the original.
Oh no, it's not as good.
Yeah.
You know, it's the same problem that we had with Fame, the remake of Fame, where they remake these movies for the wrong reason.
Absolutely.
It's like they don't realize that, like, Fame was nominated for 4 Oscars.
Yeah.
You know, this was nominated for an Oscar, and yet when they remake it, they don't really want to honor the original. They just want to kind of put it out there for the kids.
Yeah, it's.
And Jaden Smith, by the way, I thought that kid was good. What I liked about him is that his sort of default facial feature is like worried. There's something about that kid where you look at him, he always looks sort of worried, which is good for the role because this kid's being beaten up in China, the bullies are after him, he doesn't know what to do, he's in a strange land.
Yeah.
So the fact is that this kid actually wound up being pretty good.
I think one other problem, though, is that Jaden Smith is, despite his talent, he's too young for the part. They skewed everything down to his age. Ralph Macchio's a teenager in the original, right? They're high school kids.
He was in his early 20s playing a teenager.
Yes, well, Ralph Macchio's now like 72 years old. He still looks like a teenager. Really, it's true. It's unbelievable. The guy doesn't age. But here, Jaden, it's to buy into the romance with the young Chinese girl. There's something very, very coy and innocent and timid about it that doesn't really have the grit. When you had Elizabeth Shue in the original, you kind of bought that there was something a little steamier, and that those guys, when they're after him, that there's a real rivalry going on that is you know, teenage and that's sexual in nature. And here it's like kids picking on other kids, so you don't feel the urgency. One other thing I want to say. The actor who plays the part that Martin Kove played in the original, the evil coach,
yes.
Yurong Guang. Yurong Guang is one of the great bad guys in the history of Hong Kong cinema. Okay, his final fight scene with Jet Li in My Father's a Hero is unbelievable. He is menacing here, but why did they give him a Justin Bieber hairstyle? That is horrifying. It's unbelievable. It's like there's something really wrong about it, and it's the worst decision in the film.
And he has very little dialogue.
And he has very little dialogue, but he's not intimidating. You look at him and you go, wow, dude, you're kind of scary looking, but that Justin Bieber hairstyle, that rocks. It's like, why? Why? Who made that decision?
Well, so basically the first hour sucks, and then slowly we started to warm to it.
Yeah.
And then as I kind of slept on it, I thought, it's not great, but I guess it could have been worse.
Yeah, it could have been a lot worse.
You blurred me on that. Not great, could have been worse. Mark Heiser, Stupid for Movies.